You're a dog.
Afternoon.
Miami's
Oh
morning.
my goodness. It's been rainy here the last couple days, so finally it's sunny and now the dogs are extra barky. So I apologize in advance if they keep barking. I'm gonna keep myself on mute, but they're running around, excited that there's action outside.
No worries. What's the weather now in Florida?
It's been a little chilly, but today it's warm. It's nice today. It's gonna be a good
Well, I
day to do
think
something outside.
Chile in Florida is very different to Chile in Europe right now.
Is
And
it
Kroma,
freezing
you
there?
got -10 in Poland? He got probably like -5, -10 in Poland.
Did you see in the playoff, the Dolphins playoff football game tonight in Kansas City? It's expected to be -30, the coldest NFL game in history.
Fucking
It's
hell. I
wild.
mean, we're talking about Fahrenheit or Celsius?
Yeah, that's Fahrenheit. Sorry.
Okay. Imagine -13 Celsius. That would be crazy. Okay. Uh, yeah,
What?
it's crazy.
Oh, like up in the mountains.
It's
I
crazy.
mean, does it even feel like right, right, I feel like there's a point.
He's talking about Celsius,
Gosh.
Ali, not Fahrenheit.
I know, I know, I can't even imagine. I don't even know what that feels like. I think at some point you're probably just numb, right? Like you just don't even know. Yeah, I would imagine.
Cool. Let's
Yeah.
rock it, guys. So everyone can carry on with this Saturday afterwards. I hope everyone have some great plans.
Congratulations on your engagement, by the way. Just wanted to
Oh,
bring
thank
that
you.
up. We
Oh
can
yeah, that's
add
the first
to
step.
your list of many talents. Shopping
To my
for
list of
jewelry
what?
is one of your list of many talents. At the top
Ah.
is now choosing jewelry. The ring is
Oh,
beautiful.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Very, very good.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I don't
And
exaggerate. Oh, we have 40 people. It's growing. I wonder if we get to 50 plus by now. Are we doing some short intro or should I just start? Or what's the plan with you guys? 42 people are joining. Who cares about the ETF? It's done. I think we talked about ETF for the past few months. So let's just cover a few things. So starting with with ETF, who is messaging start? Who is pressuring me to start? Who is that? Ah, Drazy. Okay, I'll start Drazy. I'm sorry. It's gonna be recorded, so if you have something urgent, don't worry, you can listen to that later. Just to let you know. So starting with ETF, I mean the play with the ETF was to trade until the ETF, and then it's gonna be probably some choppy time on the market until the next narrative picks up. And the next narratives you have, it's obviously volume coming from the ETFs, and that's gonna be a long to play out. It's not like people saw the billions flowing on the market, but that's inflow and outflow. So how much they selling and buying, because that's allowing entities to obviously do that on a large volume with a set fees on those ETFs. And for example, that's sort of good exit liquidity for Grayscale. They have 35 billion asset allocation, and they owe a lot to creditors. Fucking Barry Silbert, obviously, always coming back when he shouldn't. He rode the big week and we started dumping immediately. But anyway, ETF play out on Bitcoin, it's gonna be more of a mid to long term play. You'll see the consistent swapping on Bitcoin as we probably retrace a little bit more. So just to speak in of like a macro perspective on a Bitcoin, it's following the original plan I said, and I thought it's gonna be invalidated, but we eventually didn't. We didn't close above 45,000 on the weekly. We kept chopping under, then we broke towards the ETF news on the early this week, and it's immediately pushed up and rejected. So if you look on the updates we posted, that was a plan we had for the past few weeks. Even posted that on a Happy New Year's message, and I still think that's the case. That if we get to the low 40s to sub 40s, so 36 to 38, I think it's a great area to go with size. 39 to 40 is start dollar cost averaging, and if we get anything below 36 to let's say 35, 34, you can just deploy whatever you have on a stablecoin side. At least that would be my plan if I was still looking to deploying capital. The perspective on that is everyone is expecting the constant buying, but all those entities want to also get a decent price, and the timing on a halving, it's like everyone expect that historically, sorry, my English is not so good today, that from halving you're gonna have an up only. But the halving is also a little bit of a sell news, because miners got accumulated Bitcoin at like 16, 18, 20,000. If you look on the charts how the Bitcoin miners did that, and when the halving comes, they will start selling. So that's not gonna be V-shaped recovery. Exactly, best rotation of profit. It's not going to be V-shaped recovery on halving. They will start obviously taking some profits, because if you're running that, especially on a larger scale and a size from 16, 18, 20,000, and you let's say sell it at 40, 45 or 50,000, is a great profit taking point if you talk about a big size. So Bitcoin perspective, I think the max upside we have from the current prices is about double. So I believe within the next 12 to 14 months we'll see a market top, and that might be contradiction to most of the people's views. But anyone who's been on the Corgi calls for the past year and a half, so we open up in July. I think that was the 30th of June or 1st of July. Can correct me. So that's over a year and a half. Yeah, 1 year, 8 months. Right? We running Corgis, right? And that was a start when there was a huge dump on the market, when we saw Ethereum under 1,000, when we see Bitcoin at 15 to 18,000 and so on. And if you look on the good thing, you can check the receipts of everything on the Discord, and you can check how we were buying the 15, 16,000 and we sold at like 25 that summer. And that was the same for Ethereum. We bought between 800 to 1200, 1300 Ethereum and pushed it up to like 2000 or whatever the price was that summer. And then we pretty much sold the top, because 2 or 3 days later, after I posted that I'm out of the Ethereum, it dumped back down another 50%. So we did those large swing trades last year. But from the November, December time, we started talking about the long term, and I started talking about preparing for 2023. There will be opportunity to buy things for a long term, and those plays will be for at least 6, 12, 18 months. So some of you guys are new here who joined. Let's say if you join over the last 3 to 4 months, some of the things are fresh for you, but you still saw that upside momentum between September, October, all the way up to December, January, and those crazy moves. But if you joined us before October and September, if you joined, 7, 8, 10, 12 months ago, some of you guys here are over a year and a half, you remember that we did first Onchain call starting from, that was February 1st when we talked about RLB. We talked about SmartDex, that was May. First Husky call, I think that was the first week of June on Ator, and I followed up like a week or 2 weeks later. That was at 20 cents. And, we followed up with, now if you look on the DEX screener, that tracking list, watch list we have on the DEX screener, there's a 14 G1 and let me check, and 15 G2 coins and 1 G3 planet. And some medium-term calls, short-term to mid-term, like ETX we called recently. I mean, it's a huge amount, but there was a big upside momentum, and it could be very confusing for the new people when they're waiting for this re-entry. So they're seeing us talking about, let's say, about the B Bank or ZOKN or OCD or PAL or some of the coins that did some insane X's. But if you look on the first calls and the first re-entries, they were, 10, 15, 20, 30 X ago. And that's what we talked about. That instead of using leverage, I was looking for the way to be the most replaceable possible. And I think I've covered that on a call last time, that when I did sales, I picked up the sales pretty quickly, but I was struggling to teach people early on because not everyone was picking up stuff so easily. So I'm okay with a leverage trading personally, but I also think that most of this fancy P&Ls and leverage trades you see on the Twitter, and now I know a lot of KOLs and large traders myself, they're showing mostly wins. Which one of them actually showing you those negatives, those red P&Ls, and when they're getting fucked over? And during a bull trend, leverage is not needed. The only thing you really need is to buy things as low as it possible, dollar cost average, and hold it until they do those huge V-shape, upside momentums. If you look on the bull market, when the upside we had in 2020, 2021, some of those moves were literally up only for months, consistent buying pressure on most of the coins. And that's what you're looking for. And if you look what happened on the charts recently, people, for example, ignore the altcoins long-term for a while, and for a while they did nothing. I see Pranay just messaging about ARP or OP. So look at we shared the first calls on the altcoins long-term. I think there was August or ENJ. Then we follow up later on in August and September on a link, OP, ARP, Vanry. So there was TVK, Vanry, and so on. And for a while, those coins did nothing. OP chopped around, ARP chopped around for weeks, all the way up to pretty much November. And suddenly, Ethereum narrative picked up, and OP went from, I think it was like a 150 or 160, all the way up to like 390, and so on. So if someone caught those early entries, there was an easy 3x just for holding. But for the leverage, imagine if you look at now on a Bitcoin and you look at those 4-hour or 1-hour charts, we literally, if you look at the 5th of December on a daily candle, it was 44,000, and we are at now 13th of January, and we're on 42.7. And in between, you had some crazy chop and leverage liquidations every single day. You're seeing people, trying to trade it. You can do that, but realistically, most of the people will lose money. We are in different time zones. You guys in Asia, we have people in Australia, in Europe, in America, in South America, and so on. And I've seen that already last year. So that's not like I just made it up, but you guys know it yourself. How many times I've seen people complaining that, oh, I wish I saw your call, but it wasn't in my time zone, and so on. So now I post a leverage trade, let's say on, I don't know, Ethereum. And I posted right now at 2 p.m. UTC. And most of the people doing something on Saturday, they're out with families and so on. America didn't really wake up properly yet. And most of the people will join that call after it already, did 2, 3, 4%. And if you're using 10x leverage, you can already de-risk and be break even when most of the people are joining. So most of the people that way will get fucked over. And I've been on a bunch of different Discords and servers, and unless you are experienced daily trader, leverage during a bull market is something what you can do on the side with maybe 5% of your portfolio and play with that up to maximum, let's say 10, 20x leverage. Or if you love gamble, obviously you can use more. But imagine you trade the leverage for the past 1 or 2 weeks. And you saw those moves up to 49,000, then back to now 42, then pushed up to, let's say, 44, then back to 37. Unless you catch the that moments, you're gonna be wiped very quickly on your trades. Now, if you look on some of the guys shared in a profit bragging, and we had a lot of those guys who, especially those who followed the long-term calls, and we saw Ramps, Fees, Xent, and a bunch of other people, like regardless of the size of the portfolio, they printed 5-6 figures from the long-term trades. They were from holding. I mean, I remember, even a few months ago in the summer, we spoke with Mizox or with Prana even, and they had like a smaller portfolios and started accumulating and adding to the gems and so on. And we look in a few months later, and just by buying few high convictions, gems, they up 5, 6, 7x on the portfolio. Some of them more, some of them a little bit less, and so on. So if you look at that from a leverage perspective, that's 5, 6, 700% over a few months. That's a very good return. And if you compound those wins over extended period of time, that's the real profit making, and that's the way to sustainable grow your portfolio. And the problem with leverage, and it's what I saw in the last bull market, is people get very cocky, and they slide that leverage button further and further, and then at some point you getting wiped out, and you have this like a revenge trading. And that's very emotional, and everyone probably been there. If you try the leverage that you lost 1 or 2 trades, then you just increase the leverage to hope you'll make it all back. And that's unhealthy. And generally the easiest way, if we looking for the next 12, 14 months, we're gonna have the overall bull trend. And that doesn't matter if we're gonna get to 30,000, 35,000, 40,000 Bitcoin over the next 2 or 3 months. If we look in a perspective of, let's say, Bitcoin is going to trade at, let's say, 70 to 100,000 in the next 14 months, and that's, let's say, will be, but by Q1 25, it's the top of the bull market. And Ethereum, let's say, will trade at 4,500 to 6,500. Most of the people will gamble and go all in closer to the top than to the middle or the bottom. And that's how the entities, the large traders, and everyone who has experience making money, that they buy very early, they hold for extended period of time, and they cashing out when there's the highest euphoria. When the emotions are like, we are invincible, everything is like it's free. You saw that in NFT space 2 years ago. When I saw people saying that they're going all into Web3, they're quitting their jobs and so on in early 22, that was the time when I started selling, because I was petrified, because I just don't believe in anything easy given. This market is, easy enough. Like it's giving you insane opportunities with the volatility and new things coming out, that most of the people think that it's gonna continue all the time in a straight line. But if you went through, the bear market with us for the past year and a half and 2 years, we had to scrap every opportunity, some free means and so on, to have any sort of momentum going. And a lot of you guys remember that as minting some freebies for, 0.03 ETH, 0.04 ETH to make money. So just talking to a macro perspective, and for those new people who just joined over the last 3-4 months, your goal for the next 2 to 3 months maximum, I would say before Q2, is to wait for those dips between 35 to 42,000 Bitcoin, which is already starting, and start dollar cost averaging down. What I mean, let's say you have the 10,000 to deploy, just as an example, you'll deploy, for example, 1,000 at 42k Bitcoin to your specific selected gems or altcoins. Then it goes down to the 40,000, you deploy 2,000. It goes down to 38,000, you deploy 4,000. Doesn't make sense? So it's a very reverse mentality, like reverse engineering, that you put more money when it goes lower, when most of the people doing that vice versa, doing the opposite, that they gambling and putting more money when it goes up when it's green. And that's the most common mistake. So if you do that, if you check the calls we did when they were super boring and choppy, that's exactly what we did throughout the 2023. So I'm not really actively trading right now because I don't need to. If you look at the original calls and the first 1, 2, 3 re-entries, every single gem, we are in a profit, at least like 2-3x. Why would I need to trade actively if my portfolio consistently growing if we're looking for the higher time frames? So that's the easiest play. Then you sleep well, you have a time for to spend time with your loved ones, with your family, for your hobbies and so on. Especially talking obviously if that's not your full-time job to work in a Web3, but you're doing that on an investment or trading perspective, that you just pick up your winners, you monitor them, and you look to start accumulating when there's a panic, where's the FUD, when there are red candles, when the charts looks horrible, everyone complaining about something. That's the time to buy. And I did that breakdown just to finish up that thought. I did that breakdown in an encyclopedia if you checked, and that was I think posted in like Q1 23. That if you picked up 10 gems and you put 10,000, so let's say 1,000 each in each one of them, and 7 of those gems goes to 0 and 3 of them do 10x, you in a 23,000 profit, right? So 7,000 or 7 gems going completely to 0, you are 7,000 at loss, and 3 of those going 10x, that's 30,000. 30,000 minus 23 plus minus some fees and so on, you earn a 23,000 in profit from your 2.3x from the 10,000 investment, right? And that's looking on a worst case scenario. And obviously that was like a very worst case scenario because none of those gems are in a negative. If you look at the original entries, all of them are in profit. I mean, talking about things that were posted, let's say 2 or 3 months ago, not something I posted, let's say yesterday. Actually, OPSEC is printing anyway. I posted that yesterday. So just talking about more of a long-term perspective. So I hope that makes sense. I'll go through some questions, and if you have something additional, I'm sure Ali, Mac, or Ali or Ankram are gonna pick it up, and we can close it at the end of the AMA. Sounds good. Sorry. Ali, you are going to read questions, or should I just read them myself? I mean, whatever is easier. Where are we?
You're the boss. Let me know.
Yeah, I can go through them. It's probably will be quicker. So what we have first, guys, if you go through questions, I'll just read them so you can see them as well. Questions from 11th of January, so starting from grip0609 handle. So that's one of the most common things is like, is it still valid to buy some ARP OP after yesterday pump? No, I don't want to buy after pump. And that's the most common thing that I have just covered, that after the green candle euphoria and those crazy V-shaped moves, you're waiting for the next retrace. So I was posting on the altcoins updates the entries, and the only thing you have to do, for example, if you have any sort of centralized exchange, let's say Bluffin, BitGet, Binance, and so on, you can literally do what Xen, for example, is doing, and some of the whales did that too, that they literally post the limits, place the limit orders in the box I've posted, and it automatically bought whenever they were sleeping or they were online, offline, and so on, and they were in position already. That's the easiest way to approach the altcoins, because if you're looking for a long-term perspective, it doesn't really matter if it's gonna go 10 or 20% under the box. The point is to catch that entry within where's the liquidity, when there's a high chance that market will enter, and then you just sit in your position for extended period of time until it prints. I mean, if you guys remember, I think we did a pair call or Illuvium on that was between I think April to July, and it did absolutely fucking nothing for 4 or 5 months. Pair and Illuvium were trading literally within like a 10 to 20% range for 5 months. Did nothing. Now suddenly pair went up from $2.70 to $8 within a space of 3-4 weeks. And you're gonna see that over and over and over again. It will be the same now. Let's say we imagine in the next 2 months, we're gonna trade between 35,000 Bitcoin to 43,000 Bitcoin. Just an example. And there will be boring accumulation period. Most of the people exit the position, end of the bull market, fuck ETFs and so on. That's probably going to be a narrative, just an example. And then things will pick up, for example, in March or April, and you're going to see those crazy V-shaped recoveries like we saw recently on Sol, ENJ, TIA, PEAR, Illuvium, and so on. And all the downside momentum and all the chop you saw for 4, 8, 12, 16 weeks, it's going to be wiped up to the upside within 2, 3, 4 weeks. That makes sense? And I think the biggest problem within people have with the trading that they keep checking those lower time frame charts. Like if you enter positions and the entry you wanted on the gems or altcoins, just leave it. I mean, check it once a week or twice a week, just, if it's close to your stop loss, or if you should add to your position or change your limit orders and so on. But if you're willing to play a long-term game and play as an investor and not the trader, and you don't want to use that money to actively trade, that's the easiest way to approach it. And you can ask anyone, I mean, it's not like I just made it up. Ask anyone who's in a server longer than 6 months. That, some of those guys played it very well and did the crazy gains. And some of them will say that, they regret something because it was boring, they bought it, and they sold for a 20-30% loss, or maybe only like 50% gain. And then they left the position. And then it went up and did 5, 10, 15x. I mean, I think that 2 or 3 days ago, I spoke with someone who was in a B bank and then just left the B bank 2 days before it went up, crazy. Now it's fee, obviously they rebranded to fee. I mean, it happens all the time because it's emotions, lack of patience, that lack of conviction and so on. And the long-term game is it's just that ability to kind of distance yourself from that daily moves, especially if you have a larger portfolio and that's, you see on the crypto market the swings of 20-30% on a daily upside and downside momentum, and you check it on your dbank app or Zerion and so on, and you saw on Sunday your portfolio being, let's say, $10,000, and on Wednesday, because market dumped, is $7,000, and you think, oh, should have I sell that 10,000 and then buy it lower? Most of the people won't be able to do that. That's just crazy. The easiest thing is to just ignore those lower time frame moves, accumulate, and just forget it for at least few months until it actually start hitting your targets, until you see the real upside momentum. And that's what we did very well in 2023. And one thing what I wanted to cover is, obviously for new people, you're still in a very good situation to enter some of these coins over the next 2-3 months. But further we go and the higher they go, the lower return of investment is and the higher risk to reward, right? So if we bought, let's say we called even 0KN, for example, I think that 6 or 8 weeks ago was that re-entry call at like 5, I don't remember even what was the entry at 0KN, at 0.005, whatever, that was like at 8 or 7 million. And since that entry, it just went, straight to 30 million. It did like a quick 5 or 6x. That was a nice swing trade. But most of the people will exit positions at that, at that red candles and so on, and then try to chase that position later on to buy back higher. And that's one of the common things I see in the charts, in DMs and so on. That's what is happening, and I think that's something to think about if you experienced that before. Next question: how might we prepare for potential bull, and what opportunities are we eyeing the most if we get such a market upswing? I didn't change anything what I've shared in the encyclopedia since Q1 23. I think the easiest play is to have a 90% allocated to the long-term positions, regardless how you want to play it. I think it's a great split to have about 30 to 40% of your long-term portfolio in altcoins. So entries on things like OP, ARP, ENJ, Solana, We'll look Vandry. We'll look on some other coins as well. And you just, accumulate them on the next 20-30% dips and just leave it. If you get the ENJ, I'll post the fresh entries probably next week as well on some alts. But if you get, let's say, ENJ around the low 30s or under 30s, again, or if you get Solana at like, I don't know, I'll check the chart later, but let's say under 70, around $60, if we manage to get to these entries, you think you have a very easy, so to speak, 3 to 4x in the next 6 to 12 months. So that will be one way you can allocate, and then 60 to 70% of your long-term portfolio will be on-chain gems. The goal with those is to buy them before they're on the centralized exchanges. And you'll see that throughout 2024, that a lot of exchanges, as the volume grows, will start adding those things to the spot trading and probably even future trading. And we're talking about, obviously, OKX, Binance, KuCoin, BitGet, and so on. So a lot of those on-chain things, which are trading now, some of them are 5, 10, 15, 30, 50 million. When they're going to be on the centralized exchanges, they're going to be probably 150, 200 million plus market cap. And the goal is to buy them before that, not after. I think centralized exchanges are closer to the listings, are closer to the top than to the bottom. And statistically speaking, that's very accurate. So that's kind of how you want to apply it. How did you guys started the journey as alpha caller? How did you guys came together? You guys know to each other? How to research coin efficiently? What would you recommend to become successful trader? That's a lot of question. I mean, we met each other in a crypto space. In a very shortcut, I covered that story over and over again, but I was working in sales and recruitment before, and I've joined the crypto space in summer 21, just before or during that NFT bull run started. And I did all of the mistakes that you guys were doing, FOMOing into, hype and green candles and so on. But things were going pretty much up only for like 3-4 months. So I made the decent money. But then I didn't really cash out the peak of the first like a run on NFTs around October time, 2021. So I gave back a lot of those profits to the market. And that was a good lesson for me to actually focus on more of a long-term perspective, to start to set the risk management I have, to how to compound profits, how to take profits consistently, how to not, be an emotional trader, who to follow. I think that was one of the biggest lessons that I spent for a couple of months, is to firstly, I went through all of the trades I did, I write them down, I went through all the good and bad things, and broke it down what I would do differently if I had another opportunity to be in the same situation. And the second thing is I went through all the people I followed in the first 3-4 months, but I backtracked the calls and what they did to 12 months and so on, to check who was accurately predicting things before they happened throughout the extended period of time. And I realized from few thousand people I followed, and let's say 30, 40 crypto traders, NFT traders, and so on, maybe just a small fraction, maybe just like 5% of them were actually accurate, and everyone else was keep changing their opinion all the time, and they did more of a bad calls than a good calls. And I started learning from that. I spent countless hours on the YouTube, on Twitter, watching the streams. I think that's a very undervalued thing, and people just expect things being, handed to them on a silver platter. I had a full-time job at the time, normal 8-9 hours as everyone else, and spent time with my girlfriend at the time, and I'm still learning, spending nights extra 2, 3, 4, 5 hours every single day to watch the streams, taking notes, learning new things, and trying to better myself. And literally between October 21 to December 21, I took maybe 5 trades, and I did everything on a paper to see what I would do well or not, and I try to analyze myself. And then in December, I got the job as a moderator on a couple of servers. Started actually focusing on more of my own trading, how to be profitable, and it worked out very well. I did it for a few months. Cashed out between February to March 22 when traveling, and then I came back in the summer to absolute apocalypse. As you guys remember, summer 22, if you were trading, everything was red. Everyone was down like 95%. And then I just started catching up with friends who, I was in a crypto space and NFT space, and realized that a lot of people are very lost. So then that's how the idea of the corgi calls came around, and that's, we open up the server, and that's how we built from there. And probably, yeah, 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 that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I think that a lot of people are missing out that, like, everyone's going through a journey. Even if you look on some of the people you're looking up to, regardless that, is someone on this server or someone you follow on Twitter and so on, if you look how they were trading, the accuracy, the experience 2, 3, 4 years ago, or at the very early of the career and later on, some people just got stuck in exactly same position and they never changed. They stuck to the bias. Like, I mean, we're laughing at Capo, and that's not a trader. Someone who is stuck to traders don't have a bias. I don't give a flying fuck where we go, it downside, upside. I will figure it out how to make money. We did that in a bull market when pretty much everything died and nobody was making profitable trades on the NFTs or cryptos, and somehow we are still making profits. That's the reason a lot of people are here after a year and a half, because when shit was tough and nobody was calling, nobody was doing the pre-sales, private sales, there was barely any opportunity. In 2022, we found a way to make it happen. And now when the things are getting easier, the opportunities are increasing. Now the problem that the more opportunities are, the also you diversify, your money, you start farming, you start gambling more, and that's something to keep in mind, that within the next 12 to 14 months, you should be aiming to exit the markets rather than putting more money. If that makes sense. That I could be wrong, but I think between the second half of 2024 to the first half of 2025, that's the time to start dollar cost average out of the market, not in the market. And I think that's something to keep in mind and remember, because most of the people won't tell you that, and most of the people will end up buying top or close to the top. Not saying us. I'll preempt with everyone and remind hundreds of times to take profits. But that's something to remember, that the way the large entities and traders and all of the shillers are making money, that they will push you to buy as high as it possible and as long as it possible, while they're gonna dump on you. And that's just how it works. Like, I spoke yesterday with one of the friends who invested in 20-something projects in 2022, between like Q1, Q2, 2022, and 12 of those projects completely, like the private sales or pre-sales, and 12 of those projects didn't even launch. They just, vanished and disappeared, because it was just before the bear market, hit. And 8 of them are still around and kicking, but he's still holding those tokens, or waiting for them to launch or release. And that's not the situation you want to be in. I mean, we had some opportunities to get into pre-sales in a very good round on the Treeverse or Pixelmon and so on. But I said, fuck that, because the vesting is just ridiculous. It's just like exit liquidity for venture capitals and all the team members. With all due respect, I think both projects are great and can do very well, but I don't believe that you need a 30, 40 months vesting in anything. I mean, I really like Oki project, and Husky is very bullish on it, and I think it can do extremely well. But I disagree that anything should have a 3 to 4 years vesting at this stage of the market. If you wanted to have a 3-4 year vesting, you should be launching that in 2022 or 2023, not right now. Period. If you have a vesting going into the, end of 2025, 2026, 2027, I mean, you're just looking for exit liquidity, not really to give opportunity to make profits. So fuck those opportunities. I just don't believe in that. I could be wrong. I'll swallow the bitter pill, and if I'm wrong on that, but I'm not entering any of the opportunities that have a vesting past first half of 2025. I think it's just a scam, and most of the people won't make money on it. How to research coin gems efficiently? I mean, that's the 2-hour call just for that itself. I mean, there's a huge credit to some of the guys that are helping. I mean, you can speak with the guys like Husky, Pranay doing tons of research. But you following right people, watching Twitter all the time, checking what is trading, who's talking. It's through various connections on the Discords, Telegrams, and so on. If I show you my Telegram, I think I'm in probably 250 various channels. I had to finally realize a few months ago that you can make a nice tabs and just divide it into tabs. So I have probably 15 different tabs on Telegram alone, and each tab have probably 10 to 20 plus different channels. And I have a little OCD, and I can leave the notifications. So I'm going through that every single day, looking if there's anything people talk about, any other opportunities that we might enter. But yeah, that's another long call to go through that. What coin would you pick as your top one, and why? I don't have one. I like few, and they own in G1. And they have various reasons that I really like them, and I still holding some of them for obviously took profits on, let's say, PAL, which we talked ages ago. Now, I mean, PAL, what's the market cap of PAL now? 95 million. Wow, fucking hell, that's crazy. So if you look at the first call of PAL peaked at 130 million, I believe. A little bit higher than it is right now. Let me just check quickly. 50% higher, so about 140 million. That was a peak of PAL. If you look at the first calls on a PAL, that was, if I'm correct, about 3 to 5 million. That was in July. So the upside on those is crazy, and I still think PAL can easily trade above $1. For example, but overall, if you look on my favorite coins, I would just go through the G1 list. So Phi, PAL are the ones that have a still a huge upside. Lake, I think, is a great from one of the newest picks. I have a big bag of Lake. SmartX, I think it's chopping around, but once the narrative picks up, it should really take off. And there's no reason for SmartX not to trade for at least around 10 cents. Zeke have a very nice upside should have a very nice upside momentum, and I like the projects that have a revenue. So if you look at pretty much any of the G1s or the coins I'm sharing often, that's the ones that they have some sort of deflationary mechanism. They have a revenue, they have an active user base. So those numbers are catching up over time. So if you look at the first Rollbit call in a February, and then it had a nice upside momentum in February and March, and then it was back to the chop zone and FUD and drama throughout the entire May, June, July. And there was some point, I think early July or late June, that I was trading at 2 cents, just even under 2 cents. I think the lowest was 1.5 in the summer. And then it just went on a crazy run from that. Went from Solana to Ethereum and went literally a 10x within, let me just double check very quickly. 1, 2, 3. So it did 10x in 45 days. 45 days, yeah. Sorry, I did 8x in 45 days and 10x a little bit after that. But we were talking about it consistently, that the users are growing, revenue is growing, the burning tokens and so on. It was only a matter of time until the narrative picks up and the coin takes off. I still have a decent bulk of Rollbit, but I wouldn't lie that I took a lot of profits, and I was talking about it at like, we talked about 20 cents, and nobody really believed that we're gonna get to 20 cents. And we picked up at what, 26 cents. So yeah, that's what it was. And I wouldn't say that I have a top one token. I would say that the G ones are my favorites, and those ones I have the biggest position, but I don't have a one. I will just bet because I want to diversify portfolio. I never, bet on one coin more than any others. Maybe some like small size, 10-20% here and there, but not with a crazy amount. How old are you guys? I'm about to be 32 in 13 days, if that helps. There was a lot of talk about bull bear depending on approval. What's the actual ETFs? I'm interested in buying some. Are you guys investing in those? No, I'm not investing in ETFs. They are for entities. We can send you some articles. I don't think it's worth to cover what is ETF on the AMA. But overall, there's opportunity for the larger funds, hedge funds, and entities to purchase the Bitcoin shares in a way. Same like you can purchase the stock market. That's also allowing the TRAD fee, which is traditional finance traders to enter and trade Bitcoin during the normal sessions like you have between Monday to Friday. So it's additional inflow and outflow volume. So overall, I think over time will be good for the market, but we're also going to see a lot of profit taking at some point, probably in 2025 from that, or maybe even from end of 2024, once the narrative a little bit calms down. I can make for AMA. Can you visit Los Angeles? Well, hopefully I'm going to New Orleans end of February and the first week of March. So I'm going for my first NBA game. Maybe I'll go to Los Angeles. I've never been to, but I don't have it planned yet. Awesome to see non-KYC exchange, what could be a strategy there? Only buy new stuff and send to the new cold and on-chain wallet? So with centralized exchanges, you always have to think that it's not your keys, not your money. I never hold the majority of my portfolio, only a fraction on the centralized exchanges. So even if I have a larger position on Solana that's sitting on my Phantom. I have like a cold Phantom wallet, and it just sits there. I didn't touch it I took some profits from the 20s when it was the first call, and then added I think on like $30 something. But I just took some profits on it. Most of the positions still sitting on Phantom. Same goes for ENJ, just sitting in a Kepler wallet. I moved it actually recently because I was actually sitting in my BitGet. So the safest way is when you have access to the keys. Centralized exchanges are for like daily trading and for smaller positions. I think that there are a few that they are reliable, that they have a proof of reserves. That's the reason I check the Bluffin, that they have you can check daily. They have something like POR, so it's proof of reserves. Same goes for BitGet, the Binance, that you can track that they matching all the coins 101 or above. That if there's 100 Bitcoin trading, there's 100 Bitcoin in, let's say, Binance cold wallets to match the token for the sake of liquidity and security. But I don't trust most of the exchanges. I don't really try much of a KuCoin or MEXC and so on. I think a lot of them, especially when market will reverse at some point, they could have a problem with liquidity. So that's something to be aware of that as well, not to hold the large amounts of money on the exchanges. And for the Bluffin or BitGet, I will be posting daily trades. We're gonna get back to the swing trades and like short to mid-term calls. But again, and I want to put a lot of attention to that you shouldn't use more than 5 to 10% of your portfolio to daily trading. You should use most of your portfolio, at least that's my advice. You do whatever you want to do, obviously, for long-term trades, because that's the easiest way to make money, especially if you have a full-time job, you have family, you do other stuff. The daily trading, it's profitable for someone who has experience, use a low leverage, and can do that consistently for the extended period of time. And obviously it will get easier during bull market, and sometimes you'll feel like a god that every trade you take is going up and so on because market is trending to the upside throughout the extended period of time. But most of the people on leverage will get wrecked. So I'll suggest to start it with a small slide, or start it even on paper, see how that works for you before you get into with anything with size. I saw that recently. I think a couple of new people joined, and I started posting some calls. Like I branded them as a spot calls, and I post clearly as a spot call, and they're going up 20-30%. And then someone's asking, is it still good to enter? No. Why would you enter, and especially on leverage, something after it did 20-30% already? If we're talking about the long-term things, sure. I mean, it could be still a good opportunity if it's in a box for the dollar cost average. But the problem is most of the people love to buy green candles. They don't like to buy red and shitty candles. And that's how exchanges and market makers are making money, because majority of people can't trade. So again, speaking from experience, and I saw people get absolutely euphoric during bull market and then absolutely wrecked during bull market. Don't listen to the common narratives. Or don't go too hard on leverage. Small part of portfolio, learn that with the whatever wouldn't hurt you to try, use it with a maximum 5 to 10x leverage, and you can do that consistently and make money. I'll be sharing some of those trades too. But the easiest and the most reliable way to make money during a bull trend is dollar cost average on the dips, and hold for at least 4 to 6 months plus. But I'll cover more of that too. Where would be a good start for people with a starting portfolio between 500 to 1,000? I think there was more questions on that. And if I had right now $1,000 portfolio, maybe I'll say differently. So I've deposited $2,000 in December 2021 to my Binance, and I never deposited more since. So I've started the same way. That was when I finished I told you about this October period when I was analyzing my trades and didn't really trade for like 2-3 months, $100-something. That's my last recorded deposit on a Binance. Consistently compounding those wins and profits, taking them away. I think I talked about it a lot, that when you do some good trades, you catch that 3, 4, 5x move, you cash some of that out, regardless if you feel it's the top of it's going to higher and so on. You want to keep consistently taking money away from your trading accounts and put them aside to something where you're not going to be touching them. Could be a cold wallet, which you have a multi-sign with your partner that they have to approve for you to withdraw. Could be your bank account, whatever you choose, but something where you're not going to feel FOMO to put that money back into the market. So if I will be starting with portfolio of $5,000 to $2,000, I'll just pick two coins, 2 to 3 coins long term, leave myself like 150 for like some daily opportunities, pre-sales, private sales. But I'll literally put 2, maximum 3, but I'll say 2 coins, probably 1 altcoin and 1 gem, and just sit on my hands. And with a remaining 150, try to multiply it through the daily trading or some pre-sales and private sales. And I know it might sound silly, but you can find a lot of people on this Discord who put $1,000 in OCD, 0KN, BBank, PAL, and various other coins. And when they did 10, 15, 20 X's, that $1,000 can very quickly become 5, 10, 15,000. If you're patient enough and you just let it sit and wait for that upside momentum. If you scroll through the profit bragging, we're going to do a little summary with Anchroma and Pranay of our 2023 of some of the best trades and wins and so on. You'll see how many people literally started with $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 and run it up to the north of 5 figures or even 6 figures. But there was not from a day to day or week to week. There was someone who, let's say, bought Rollbit at 2 cents or 3 cents and so on in June, July, or even earlier, and they just held it until it 5, 8, 10x. So I think that will be the easiest way to do it if you have a smaller portfolio. Also, if you have a smaller portfolio, I'll suggest, obviously, I presume that at that situation someone have a full-time job and so on, to put aside a fraction instead of some of the people putting into savings account and so on, which gives you nothing because inflation is higher than 4%, cost of living increasing higher than 4% every year. That to put that back into some long-term investments or daily trading. I'm not saying to ape your life savings, but I'm saying you can put a fraction of that which you'll normally put in some savings account and use it to multiply it during a bull market. I think if you do that well, even if you just joined over the next 12 to 14 months, you can put yourself in a really good situation. But I wouldn't really quit any jobs. We also will try to provide some of the job opportunities, and you can ask a lot of guys here. Recently there was opportunity, obviously, to, for example, join the collab manager job, and we had a guy from a server, our friend Hitoki, and got selected amongst other CVs to help with the debt press and get the obviously consistent salary. There'll be more opportunities like that. We have guys who join our server and help for a while for free and provide opportunity and help people out and share their calls and so on. And now they're getting paid, and we're helping them out as well because we think that they bring in the value to the server. So we also want to give some of that back to them. And obviously we're not talking about some crazy amount of money, but if you, let's say, have $1,000 portfolio, even a few hundred is good. If you get some part-time moderator job on the servers, helping out with as a collab manager and so on, there's a lot of people who do that on this server, and they always have a few hundred coming here and there, and it is possible. But it's a grind, and I think it's worth to put that extra time over the next 12 to 15 months to increase that portfolio. But yeah, I think that would be my answer. Relatively small portfolio and gems. Last year. So I'm not gonna read the whole question, but you guys can follow my answers, the questions I'm answering to I'm at the last year right now on the questions. So, and Xen have a very similar questions with Wiz under with a screenshot. And I do agree. I have a slightly different numbers, and I've shared it as well. I think it's in Encyclopedia. And Chroma can probably find it and ping you guys. But they said that with the it's literally in a Wiz even said the $1,000 is max 2 projects. I'll personally say 1 altcoin, 1 gem, but everyone have a different opinions. But with a portfolio, you don't want to diversify. I saw someone sending me that portfolio, I think a week or 2 weeks ago, that they have $600 or $700 spread between, I think, 10 or 11 coins. I mean, that's crazy because that upside, even if you catch the big moves on those coins, they won't give you that much of an upside. So if I have a smaller portfolio, I think something what Wiz gave as an example just below, you see the screenshot from Xent, is pretty good. Realistically speaking, I wouldn't say that a lot of people will allocate to max 10 at 6 figures. I'm sorry, it's a lot of talking. So I think with the 1,000 to 2.5, as he said, I will say the 3 to 4 projects if you have a closer to 2,500, and 2 projects if you are closer to about 1,000 portfolio, and then the same 2.5 to 5,000. You can increase that, but extra 2 or 3 projects, 5,000 to 10,000, again 2 or 3 projects. But you don't want to have $1,000 portfolio and hold 15 coins, hoping that one of them is going to pull 50x. It could be the play. Maybe you'll win, but it's better to do the research and choose the right coins you wanted to hold for a long term, and just stick to them for the next 6, 8, 12 months. So if you, let's say, starting, just to give you an example, with $1,000 right now, you can wait for dips on anything in the G1 and add one of these G1 coins, let's say, I don't know, Lake or Phi or Creso or Wombat, if we get any dips, or Dubs or Ammo, and you just have one position of worth, $400 of that, and then you go to the altcoins long term, and let's say we look on ENJ or Solana. Let me just pick on the charts quickly. ENJ is on $36. One second. So you go to ENJ, and for example, I'll post some entries. You manage to get it around low 30s or just below 30s. We're gonna get some dips, and you'll have another $400 allocated in ENJ for a long term, and you just leave it, and the rest you just day trade. If you have a smaller portfolio, same goes for Solana. If we get any dips to, I think the great entry will be around 63 to $80. So if you can get entry between $80 to $62 on Solana, I think that'll be very good entry. Sure, we can dip below 60 to maybe 50s, but I don't really care about those 20% moves below the boxes. It happened, and it most likely will pump back up unless something crazy happens on the market. And as I said yesterday, between 42,000 to 36,000 Bitcoin, if we get there, will be great opportunity to start dollar cost averaging. And it was exactly the same. We shared that. What was that? 3rd of January. We were at 40.5 Bitcoin. And if you look at the entries of some of the things at 3rd of January. Look at the 3rd of January on some of the gems or altcoins, and the recovery you saw between 3rd of January to 11th, 9th, and 10th of January. I mean, you had literally 40, 50, 60% moves on most of the coins between that and the period. And also Bitcoin went from 40.5 to 49,000. And I think the biggest altcoin season and opportunity for those things to go up is once the Bitcoin chops down, calms down. We're probably gonna see it trading to, let's say, 50 plus thousand, and they're gonna keep it above it, and it's gonna chop around. Ethereum will pick up, go probably above 3,000, and then you'll see some altcoins going absolutely crazy. And then you realize that we're gonna have another leg up like we saw between October and December, and it's going to happen again, maybe in March, maybe in April, who knows. But I just want to be prepared for that, especially if I'll be in your situation. I'll be looking to start building my positions. Hope that makes sense, but cover more of that. I'm confused about the cycle. Is this different because of ETF approval? Fuck the cycle. It's bullshit. I think we went to the historically very similar cycles over time. I don't think we're gonna get a 4-year bull cycle. And again, I will apologize and say that I'm wrong while we all taking amazing profits if it's 4-year cycle and it's gonna go absolutely crazy. But I think this it's a very high chance if you compare to any chat fee markets and the previous cycles in like 2000 when there was I forgot the name of it, there was a boom on internet and all the internet stocks and so on. That could be very similar, short 2-year cycle, crazy V-shape on probably till at the end of 2024, early 2025. And then it's going to be the same type of movement and to the downside on everything else. If we are lucky, we might get to like 70 to 100,000 Bitcoin, and it's gonna get dumped back down to 30s, 40s, and then we're gonna see a second leg up, similar to what we saw in 2021. But again, if anyone's playing in those long-term predictions and they claiming that they know exactly what will happen, this is just bollocks. There's nobody gonna predict exactly. You just can play probabilities. There's never certainty in a market because nobody will expect that, let's say, touch wood, there's no war or something. But if something like that happens, nobody can expect that, I don't know, one of the major presidents will die and something, will happen in that particular country. Let's say we talk about European Union or US, and there will be huge disruption of the on the markets. You can't predict those things. Nobody predicted exactly that Luna will crash. I mean, some of the people expect that it might happen, but most of the people were caught in that movement, not before that. There was a good time to take profits before it happened, and everyone then was claiming that, like, I told you that Luna was whatever, or I told you about FTX and so on. But realistically, 99% people got absolutely wrecked on those moves, and only 1%, either based on luck or their experience, they took out the profits before. And I'm talking about some of the most experienced traders that, got money stuck in FTX because they did not expect it, or Luna. So I think the cycle will be close, and I think that we are already in 1 year bull cycle. Again, that's the reason I started sharing calls from early this year, not the last 2 or 3 months. And a lot of those things already had a crazy moves. I think we're gonna have more of those, but I'm betting for the next 12 to 14 months, I want to be out of the markets and looking for the opportunities to enter lower or shift some of the profits to some Web2 opportunities and so on. And some of you might agree or disagree, but at least that's my plan on a macro perspective. Well, I answered the shaker the same question. Good size in dollars to minimum heavy in gem. There's no specific sizes, depends on your portfolio. So I covered that in Encyclopedia and Atlas as well. That's very much depending on how much money you're willing to allocate for long term from your, let's say, stable coins, how much you already have allocated and how much you're willing to allocate. And I would say about 90% of that should be in a long-term place, or at least mid-term place for the next 4 to 6 months, ideally 6 to 12 months. And 5 to 10% will be the day-to-day opportunities, trading daily, and so on, so on. Is ETH actually worth holding, considering there are many solid undervalued projects that can 10x in a bull? Well, you're holding ETH for the sake of entering the NFT market or gems. Most of the gems you're buying through the ETH. So for that you can hold. For just to clarify for some people, because I saw recently that a lot of people are still confused about it. Your gems are valued in dollars, not in ETH. I know that some people just, it doesn't seem like it's add up because you see the price in Ethereum and in dollars, but it changes. It's dynamic. So essentially, it doesn't really matter if you buy the Ethereum at $3,000 or $1,500. Your gems will be valued in the dollar value. That makes sense. So you'll buy it. The exchange between those is the dollar value of Ethereum, not on doesn't really matter if it goes up or down, just to make it clear. So if you want to buy some gem, you don't need to wait for ETH to dip to buy the gem, because few people asked about it. You just buy it because your gem is valued in dollars anyway, not in Ethereum. It's exchange. What's your favorite gem and altcoin? Again, I think I answered that question already, but G1, I had some of the those are my favorites. On the altcoin side, I think the ENJ has a great momentum. I love FET. I have a pretty big pack of FET. Mina, I'm building position. I think from the gaming coins, GOTS and ARI will have the momentum, and I think that's easy 3 to 5x play from the current prices, and a bit lower on GOTS and ARI. Vanry, I have a huge bug. I think Vanry will have a crazy run at some point. I have good memories with that as well, because as a TVK was my first 5-figure trade during bull market. And Vanry is obviously rebranded from TVK, and I'm in chat with a team. Oh, actually, Dark Knight is also working with. I've chatted him recently to Important Corgis. He's working with a Vanry team, and they have some great things coming up. So I think Vanry is a great coin to pick up and dollar cost average on the next tips. If you were starting out and had 100k to invest, what would you do? Was the typical investment return for Corgis with Wells subscription? I don't like bragging, so the easiest way for you will be just to ask Wells. You have plenty of guys, you have Ramps, Xent, Chetty, Yoris, all of these guys, Vij, Vop, Pranay, who are part of the Well group, and you can just ask what they learned from wells, what the return of investment was, and you can judge it from that. I think it would be unfair for me to say what people getting. Everyone have a different portfolio, different approach, different time they're putting into day-to-day trading and so on. So you can ask people who are already part of the wells, and you can scroll through the profit bragging and see some of the wins, and that you can judge on that. I think that would be the most fair answer, rather than me telling you what's the possibility. And if you're starting out with 100K to invest, what would you do? The same as I just repeated. You have to look at the same perspective, that regardless if you're 1,000, 10,000 or 100, you just increase the either size or amount of the coins you hold. Obviously, you don't want to consistently increasing the size. So if you, let's say at 100,000, you want to hold 10 to 15 very good projects, probably I'll say 3 to 4 altcoins, 6 to 8 gems, and some private sale and pre-sale opportunities, and 1 or 2 NFTs. That would be a great setup for 100K portfolio. So you buy, couple of EOS, couple of pandas, for example. You get some of the gems from G1, and let's say 5, 6 from G1, 2 or 3 from G2. G2s are not worse, but they have a higher risk. Doesn't mean that they have a lower upside, but they just a smaller size than my G1 coins, and they slightly higher risk, in my opinion. So that's how you can differentiate the G1 and G2 coins. And the altcoins, you put 3-4 positions on the altcoins, and that's a great setup for a 100K portfolio. And have aside 10 to 15K for some private sale, pre-sales, or daily trading, and you have a perfect setup. That'll be my answer. When you take profit, you transfer portion to your bank, taxes, have to invest, or you always reinvest? Yeah, I answered that actually before. So I suggest when you take profits, you put it somewhere where you don't want to put it back in the market. I think that's one of the common things, that people feel FOMO, and they're moving the profits back into make more profits. Part of that, it's good, but you also want to consistently have a cash flow and have money aside. And it's a good practice to, whenever you feel euphoric, you catch the good win, to reward yourself, to put some money aside, to put it in a bank, to book the, I don't know, trip, to, get something nice, or just put it in a cold wallet when you're not going to touch it. I think that's a good practice to do so. So also for the taxes, I'm not going to go over taxes personally, but you have to understand that when you exchange the crypto to the fiat currency, that's when you pay tax in most of the countries. So sometimes it's good just to have it sitting in a cold wallet and withdraw whenever you need it, rather than consistently, putting that in your bank, because every time you put in changing that into fiat, it's the taxable income. This is more about psychology, and buy and hold, hoping for 100x and it goes 3-5x, and I the risk a little, then rest sits, something goes down heavily. How do you deal with this aspect? I mean, you're risk-free at that point, so what's the problem? So let's say you enter something and it does 3 to 5x, you took profits, you are risk-free, and it goes down. You can do 2 things. You can either do nothing and wait for a next leg up, because that's happening consistently, and you can check on any pretty much chart. They had those crazy moves, and Onchain very popular is for coins to do crazy V-shaped moves within a 1, 2, 3 weeks, and then they dump 50-60%. If anyone was around the NFT market bull in 2021 or early 22, was exactly the same. You had a long term of nothing burger and weeks of chop solidation, as I like to call it, and then suddenly there was some narrative, things were going 2, 3, 4x, and then after that you had those 50-60% dumps. So you want to take profits on those big green candles. So when it dumps, you can either re-enter if you want to increase your position, or just wait for the next leg up. And you also risk-free. So, the worst case, it goes to 0 and you're risk-free. You should be in slight profit, and or worst case scenario, break even, right? So that's about psychology. DCA for gems becomes costly with ETH price rising up. Any hints whether or how we can minimize the gas cost? Is Unibot cheapest way to acquire? We work in, Yoris, I think, shared the link to the Photon. There's also Thunder Terminal. There's Unibot. And if you leave the limits, you can catch a lot of things just on the limit orders on those bots. One thing I want to put some focus on is to not hold your gems on bots, regardless how reliable they are, how great they are. Your goal for bots is to use them to buy things or sell things and then move them away from that wallet. It's a hot wallet. You should not sleep with a coin sitting in your bot. That's how you should be thinking. Anytime you buy a larger position or you sold something for profit, move it away from that hot wallet to the cold wallet. Your cold wallet should be separately on different Brave browser, Chrome, not connected to anything. And the things which are in your cold wallet should never be connected to anything, maybe except Uniswap when you're swapping, but then disconnect. That should be also a habit that you disconnect any connected sites. You can do that on MetaMask, that you connect any site on you click those three dots on the right top corner, connected sites, and disconnect after you're using that. But your cold wallet should be used to send coins to the hot wallet, to sell, take profit, buy whatever you want. And then those profits or those coins should be transferred back to the cold wallet, not sitting in your bot. Just to avoid any risk and problems in the future in case any bots have issues. Suggestions: may be good to have Corgi spot swing calls in a separate channel outside crypto. This would be awesome for those outside US time zones, helping us to manage notifications better during we're supposed to sleep. Yeah, we can probably do that. I have so many channels myself, but we can probably separate between the market updates. We can do the channel where it's crypto only, and other where it's market updates only, something like that. We'll think on that. Or like we can do short term and market updates. We'll think how to name it, and maybe we'll make another channel. What exchanges tools do you recommend for automating dollar cost average and take profits? Well, I'm using BitGet and Bluffin at the moment. I use some Binance, but I just don't like Binance UI. Nothing against exchange, but I just don't enjoy it. So I prefer BitGet, and Bluffin has a pretty nice one too. And for dollar cost average, you can just do the OCO orders. I covered that in Encyclopedia as well. OCO. So it's one cancels another order. When you buy something, that's the best thing for the taking profits. That is you're setting automatically stop loss and also take profits. So for example, you buy something at $50. For example, you buy Solana at $50 and you buy a chunk of it. You can set your stop limit at, let's say, at 39 and have a TPs at 80, 140, 190, 250, whatever. And you have that all in one order. So that's the easiest one. So automatically it does exit your position if it dumps to stop loss. But it also automatically takes profit if you hit and you have entire position set up under one order in a way. So I think that's the easiest way to do that on exchanges. At least that's what I do. OCO orders. For dollar cost average, you can just leave the limits. At least that's what I do. I don't have anything complicated. Just set up the limit buys, or because I'm degenerate and I'm online all the time, I just market buy when it enters my entries as well. You can do that. And you can leave some limit orders. So when you sleep or you don't monitor, you can purchase as well the coins. But I'm doing that only for long term. I'm not doing the really limit. I want to be online when I'm trading on leverage. That's just my rule. I don't really like to leave this running. I understand buying 10 gems with 50 each will not work because on-chain fees, but I don't understand why, for example, Wiz says to buy max 5 gems with like 10, 15k. I mean, that's Wiz. You have a very different perspective when you are multi-millionaire, and sometimes you just forget how it is when it started. I'm not saying anything against Wiz, but I just don't think if I had a 10, 15k portfolio, I wouldn't hold 3 things. You can do that. It's not a bad thing to do, but I will diversify it at least to the 5 to 7 positions. So 5 I think is reasonable, 3k each on one at 15k, maybe up to 7, and some of them can have a slightly smaller and bigger size. But everyone will have a different risk management, and he will say 3 to 5 at 10 to 15k. I will say 5 to 7 at 15k. I don't think it's a crazy difference, and everyone have a different approach. I wouldn't say that he's wrong or I'm right and so on, but and anyone have to make their own decision. So I don't think it will hurt you if you do that. But I also wouldn't get 10 gems or 9 or anything like that if I have only 10k portfolio to put 1k in each. I will probably buy 7 and just have some, money aside. And some of them I'll just buy with a bigger size rather than even up. So your G1 could be, or altcoins could have a bigger size rather than even them up. So let's say you buy Solana, ENJ for 2k each, that's 4,000. And you buy 3 gems from G1 for 1,000 and 2 from G2, that's 2,000. So you already have 9,000 portfolio plus 1k spare for any opportunities given. Damn it, that's a lot of questions. I keep scrolling and there's still more appearing. If you had no holdings already, what would you be your top 5 buys out of gems, alts, and things, and why? Say with a budget under 10k. I think I just covered that. I wouldn't say that any G1 is above another. I think they have all very similar conviction. That's the reason they are G1. So the easiest way to make a choice is to read information about each one of them and think which one you align the most with. Because some of you guys love gaming, some of you guys love privacy, some of you just generally don't care. So you can choose based on the volume on a G1 on a watch list, or you can choose it based on the coins you're the most aligned with, or you personally trade on. So let's say you trading on a Tensor and you love Solana. Well, I guess it's a good idea to hold a large position on Solana in your portfolio. Same goes for ENJ, or same goes for let's say Vandry, if it's your gaming coin, or you go to Fi because you like the idea with decentralized banking and so on. So that's how you can approach it. Question about the probabilities of direction of this market. I covered that already. Do you still think ETH can take a center stage and push also outperforming? Yeah, we just started narrative of ETH. ETH is expected for the ETFs for summer. So that narrative's already started picking up. And if you guys will listen, I posted that since December. That will be rotation. And even posted entries, I think between the re-entries from 1900 to like 2100 on ETH. And I pinged at least 5 times about buying ETH beta coins, which like it's OP, ARP, and so on. And all of them heavily outperformed the others when the ETH started picking up. So if you don't really want to hold ETH, you can hold OP, ARP. I'll probably look in some positions on LDO, maybe Ethereum Classic as well, on the altcoins perspective. But yeah, 100%. I think ETH will take I wouldn't say center stage, and I think we'll be juggling between Solana, ENJ, and others. But right now we still see a lot of P2P environment, which is player to player. I don't think there's that much of a normies in the market yet, but you can look across the centralized exchanges if you do some research on the if you do some research on the Google searches on the crypto, if you see the user base increasing on the centralized exchanges and so on, it's consistent uptick from about November time. So that's a good sign of usually that people starting entering or re-entering to the crypto market. So I think that in the next few months we'll see more and more people doing that. So I think the biggest thing you want to avoid is this KOLs and all the Twitter so-called influencers who are quiet until a bear market, and some of them publicly exit market without pointing out the names. But Llama in October exit all the market, sold everything in October, literally a week before everything started going up only. It happens, and there's a lot of them. So just do your own research and check what those guys were doing 2 years ago. Because if someone dumped on you, left the market during the worst situation when the things were down, and then they are back when the things are going up only. That's probably not someone to follow or rely on. Gun to your head, hypothetically. Well, I hope it's hypothetically. Well, this Corgis crypto millionaire started back in this bull cycle. 3 top gems. Everyone's asking the same question. This, you guys expecting me to tell you that those 3 to 5 coins you're gonna buy and they are guaranteed being a millionaire? I mean, that's not how it works. And if the easiest thing is literally do what I just covered. I mean, I've shared recently even things like Creso, I think has a great potential. Fee, it's up only, and it's great. PAL, Rollbit. I mean, for the coins like Rollbit, I think there's a huge upside still. But if something is already at 400 million market cap and we're picking that up, 10x ago, or let's say 8x ago at this stage, I mean, that's not the highest upside. It's good coin to have, but it's pretty much an altcoin at this point, rather than a gem. Lake, I think it's a crazy upside at the current market cap. SmartDex, one of the slower ones, but I think once it picks up, you can easily print 3 to 5x still from here. 0xO, I think has a huge upside, and they have a large amount of KOLs backing them, so they're gonna push it higher up. Zeke, I just posted that. I love the platforms with a great revenue share. I believe Husky shared something about Zeke, that they're copy trading and so on. That's one of the ways they're also making money and getting popular. I think Zeke had a good entries right now and a bit lower. If you look in, 0KN is absolutely going bananas. We are 26 million. I literally talked about it 2-3 days ago, reposted when it was like 18, 19, and I was telling when I was deep to 14-15 million to buy more, because it's gonna probably takes off the narrative. I told you guys, I think that was 2 or 3 weeks ago, that I rotated 50% of my Ator to 0KN, and there are 2 reasons. One is because Ator has a way higher market cap, and B, because if you look through the information on Ator and 0KN, 0KN is way more built prepared for their own chain and mixnet and privacy than Ator. Ator just shifting the narrative from where it was and the Tor chain that pretty much showed them a middle finger to now building on their own mixnet. And 0KN already working on that for the past few months, and they also working to do that on Mina, ZK Sync, and so on. So I think it just has higher upside at 26 million market cap than Ator and 100. And I really wouldn't be surprised that there might be, even rotation that 0KN will go above the Ator market cap. The biggest advantage of Ator is the KOLs they have at this point comparing to 0KN. 0KN has no KOLs. Pretty much nobody at the moment. I think they're getting them a little bit more now. I think Wiz recently posted some comment under the 0KN, and possibly they'll get some more, but they are 26 million market cap with no KOs pretty much, so I can only imagine if they start getting them on board and start actually delivering on Mixnet, staking will start and the nodes will start running. I think it has a crazy potential, and I saw hardware they have, it looks way better than Ator, at least in my opinion. So dApps, I think it's a very quiet. I mean, you guys look at the dApps. We invited the CEO to join. We talked about dApps. So original call was about 60-70 cents. Then we invited the CEO of dApps to do 1.5 hour AMA for us. It was about $1.4 to $1.7, and then you saw some dips around that, and up only all the way up to $7. So from the original call, dApps did 10x. If you enter when we had the AMA, if that wasn't a bull signal enough that CEO ran a call for us, we talk over everything. From AMA did another 7x. And I think we'll just chop around. If we get the entrance to 3 or below 3, I'll be very happy potentially to add some to my dApps position from the profits I took. But I think anything below $4 to the $3 to $2.80, I think has done some potential on dApps. Ammo, very boring right now, and could be wrong, but I think that at some point people will be, crying for not buying ammo at these prices. They're gonna share. They're gonna have a global marketplace. I believe early February. They're gonna start sharing revenue numbers, so people track it on Dune as well, and a bunch of other partnerships coming over. So if we get ammo back to our entries around 0.008. Sorry, let me just check quickly on the chart. Actually, I can do the screen sharing. 1 second. Where is the screen sharing? I just lost it. Where is the Corgi stage? And I can do the screen share, right? There we go. Ammo. There we go. Let me try that. I'll see if that works. You guys see that, right? There you go. So ammo. So if you get something like that on ammo, let me just remove that arrow here. And that was our original entry here. So there was the original entry. From here, there was like a quick 2.5x. Now it's chop solidation. And probably it will look like that. If we look to the date range, we are now 13th of January. About March, 50 bars. So that's very common price action on the things, and it could be something like that, and then you'll see V-shaped recovery, and it's going to go absolutely crazy. But I think a narrative might pick up earlier, and this will move more like that, and you'll see that things picking up, let's say middle of end of February rather than before. But that's the most common thing that you see on the on-chain, that you see those dips that are occurring 50 to 60% from the top. So is literally, that's where we are at right now, 60%. Then you will see some of the chop consolidation, some panic, and then start doing that and go out. And now I can be blame of that myself. And for example, did with Unibot, I left it for one day, and if you guys remember, we came back very quickly. It was exactly the same. If you look at the Unibot, look at that. It's very similar. And if Unibot reclaims over here, for example, we continue reclaims at some point, we'll probably have some rejections from 100, reclaim it, start chopping around here. Once it picks up, it's gonna go to the new all-time highs. And I don't know if you guys want, I can cherry pick some charts, but that's just how I approach it. And the problem is that most of the people panic and worry about here if it's still worth it. Should I buy it? Is it still good coin? Is it good long term, and so on? And that's what we see entire summer, when the things were boring and they were not really going, up only. So that's the easiest way to probably approach. Same dubs you guys can see. Maybe we'll see the dips over here, something along those lines, and then you'll see the recovery reclaiming 4, chop around it, and then it goes up. And it was over and over again. There's just like a liquidity seeking. All of these wicks you see over here, they are likely to be taken. If we see any dips on Bitcoin, market will panic. All of this lead to wicks here. We'll take that liquidity, people exit, we'll see some big red candles, and even if it dips below that $3, it's gonna most likely will reclaim it very quickly, and then we'll see the real recovery. Look at that call recently on 0K, and it's literally to the dollar was on that dip over here. Chop the lead to here. On this previous support we had, filled all of these weeks, all of that inefficiency, and so on. And I love that altcoin traders, I love those big ones, like you say that you cannot do really trading like that on the on-chain. I don't know if you can't, maybe because you don't do that, but like amount of the laser calls we did on those little boxes, we like to call this magic boxes, with how many times we did that. You guys were laughing sometimes that literally we post something and then has a reaction from that box. It's not really magic. After watching hundreds of these charts, I just see all of these little moves, and looking at the daily, always sometimes for hours if it's a new coin, and that's just how I approach things. So if I pick up the coins, that's how I'll do. Wombat, if you get dips, one of the strongest coins. Look how it behaves when the entire market is dumping. Beautiful price action here on Wombat. This week, it's something crazy like those guys did on the WIF recently. I don't know if you guys saw that. Someone bought 9 million of WIF, and you saw that sky to like pretty much $3 and back to 20 cents. And the MEF bot was eating. I really think that's, this week will get filled in the next 2 months. And if we manage to reclaim after that, and it will be strong move with all the narrative and so on above that 1 cent, it's probably going to be rejection first or second time. Once it reclaims, it's going to fly to the all-time highs at 16. So that's still, very significant 3x from here just to get to all-time highs. And the easiest way to look at those gems is to just look at that. So that's where we at. And let's say we look at the peak, for example, February, March 2025. Let's say that's the peak of the bull market. A lot of those coins might do something like that. Let's say Wombat will follow that. You'll see something like that. Probably some dips below it. And that's how it's going to look like. And here it's going to be mass euphoria. Everyone is screaming how, game-changing technology that is. And then you'll see something like that. And we're back to the bear market. If you look at any charts, that's exactly what happened in the previous cycle. And we didn't see those crazy moves yet. So until you see those during a bull market, that's the main profit taking. That's the mass euphoria. That's everyone saying that is game-changing technology, and that's when you fuck off and don't look back. And you can cherry pick any chart which is trading in 2021, 2022. It will do pretty much identical price action when you start seeing those things really picking up. If that makes sense. Let me just close it. How to stop the screen sharing? Oh, there we go. Stop screen sharing. Where we are with the questions? Oh, I lost myself and there's still plenty. Where is it? Hypothetically. Oh yeah, dice. With all the gems, G1, G2, what's the best way to know which to pick and invest? I covered that already a few times today. I hope that was the answer. But smaller portfolio, again, if it's like 500, I'll just have 1 or 2 things. 1,000, I'll have 2 or 3, and so on. I'll increase that exponentially. And at some point, when you get to, let's say, 50,000 or 100,000 portfolio, I don't want to add too many things. I will just maybe increase size on the dips. That's what a lot of whales doing, and that's what we're talking in a private with the whale guys. Is that if you have some positions you want to add, instead of having 15 plus smaller positions, I'll just add to the ones you have a high conviction on. That will be the easiest play. Corgi and Chroma, what are your personal ambitions for Corgi calls, and do you intend also to do this for the members in 5-10 years time, for example? And Chroma, can I drink a water and you can answer, because I'm losing my voice. Where is it? How would you advise to grow someone's Twitter following from scratch and preferably do it fairly fast? Quite honestly, this could be one of the most important things going into this bull market. So that's a great question, and I think I talked about it on the last AMA for at least 20 minutes. The most undervalued thing at the moment is to build your exposure, to learn the trading and so on. And if you also have a free time, not only grow your Twitter, but also start looking for the Web3 jobs. That's how I started, and a lot of people here did some moderator jobs, collab manager jobs, and so on. And we'll try to share some of those opportunities coming across us in the next few months. But people who will get those opportunities, not only from us or from the other services, people who actually are proactive and can put some of that on the CV, let's say managing tickets, managing collabs, reaching out to the different projects, growing your Twitter account to let's say at least 3-4K to start having some more of exposure and connections and so on, to be in the various discords and start try to be as helpful as possible if you have a free time. Because during a bull market, there was a time that people get paid for the moderator jobs, $2, $3, $4,000. I remember argument, I think that was from Doodles. I believe there was a collab manager of Doodles that people were arguing that he was underpaid when he was getting 6 figures, community manager, I'm sorry, of the Doodles. And they were saying he's so good, he's so incredible, he deserves that. And other ones was like, are you guys fucking crazy? It's, I understand that this, Doodles a great project, but why would you pay 6 figures for a community manager and so on? So there will be some crazy opportunities where you can get probably even more than your salary from the Web3 jobs, even if it's for a short term, as the moderator, as a collab manager, and probably some other opportunities, probably even sharing some, alpha and so on you might have, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's something to definitely explore. And to grow your Twitter account the easiest thing is to engage with the right accounts and support them. B, very easy doing that with our server, and Mizox took the advantage of that and growing his portfolio, his Twitter exposure, and some other guys too, is he created its so-called pump group and started supporting the projects we in. I just personally can't see a reason, if you have time, to don't share informations or some threads or some short posts about the things you are holding. You can be upset about that. Some people just share about it, the chaos, people say pumping the bugs. Sure, they're pumping the bugs, but some of those do that, morally and openly, that they join the private sale or they bought on the market, and they do that for a long term. Like, for example, Capo the Goat, I don't think he even sold anything yet. When I was speaking with him last time, he just shaved up some of his exposure, but he just running it higher. And those guys you want to be following, because they just holding until it actually goes to 10, 20, 30 X's, and that's the opportunity to start taking significant profits. And for yourself, you can create a unique content about the things you like. Could be gaming, could be privacy, could be, animals, wherever. But you can also share the crypto content related to the projects you're following, supporting, or would like to get involved. And I don't think there's a reason for anyone to have less than 1,000 followers if you actively post things, because automatically followers will grow as you start building the exposure. If you put some effort once a week or twice a week to share some detailed thread, easily to read, compare with some other people to write threads and so on about the project you support, and you share that once, twice, 3 times, I will reshare it. There are some KOLs who reshare it, and automatically your audience will grow. You engage with the tweets and comment about the project and so on and so on. Instead of engaging under the tweets and saying, what about this coin? Just support the coin they are supporting as well, if you like it. Don't support the shitty projects. But let's say you see a wizard posting about ENJ, and even if you hold $50 of ENJ, why wouldn't you say, hey, I love it, I have a ENJ position as well, and add some ninja GIF? Why not? You do that a few times, you get 5 followers here, 20 followers there, and over time it grows. That's my third account. So I have now 17,000, and one got mass banned because even without insulting and so on, I just was against some big KOL who had 200k followers, and he mass reported me, and I couldn't recover my account. That was a year and a half ago. Then I had a very similar situation with the other guy who I called. Said he was scamming people or something like that, which was true, but he again had a big following and must report me, so I just avoid those things right now. And that's my third account, which I grew from 0 to 17,000, and it's only from May 23. So it's not even May 23, May 22. Sorry, so it's 1.5 years of this current account. So it is definitely possible, but it is a grind as well. Dice, I just answered. Yeah, and Chroma, you can answer that, and I'll just have a sip of water to buzz. Well, thoughts on Solana ecosystem, how it will play a role in this cycle? Since everyone's bullish on Twitter, should we put small amount on some top meme coins? Well, I did that wave call, which I forgot about, and still held and took some profits and still holding some wave. But personally, I'm not really like meme coin fan. I have one we're doing research on with Pranay, which I think has a potential, but not on Solana. I really like Welsh narrative. I think once the STX and BRC narrative picks up, this can go very well. And I really would, I mean, it's meme coin, so obviously risk is from 1 to 0. But I think there's a high potential to go in hundreds of millions once the narrative and STX chain is way quicker. Once the Nakamoto upgrade is there, it's gonna be way easier to trade on STX and I think related on layer 2 on Bitcoin. So I think that's as a first meme coin on Bitcoin and on STX has a tons of potential. On Solana, I think there's a great play. It's just not my main focus. So you saw Cam shared a bunch of the skulls. There's Husky doing very well with the meme coins, so ENJ and some other chains as well, and Say. And same goes with a Cream. His name is now different, Fade Away or whatever. Sorry, I forgot. In Cream calls, meme coins is just not my top play, and also with kind of my buying pressure. If like imagine I share some small meme coin outlet, 300k market cap, and few of you guys gonna jump in with the few k. We're gonna create the uptick of 60-70% on a chart, and whoever is late on that call will end up being wrecked if it's gonna reverse. So just not keen on really playing in the small caps and under million meme coins, because I think it's very risky and I feel it just will be bad for more people than good. And Solana, we have a Cam bullish on Solana, sharing some of the great calls for the past 2 years. So I'll just follow his channel. He's very good at what he does. And I wouldn't be really trying to steal the fame from that, because I'm not nowhere good in Solana ecosystem as he is. I'm personally looking to, if we get any significant dips on Solana, to pick up some Tensorians and Madlats probably, maybe Kleinosaurus as well, just for a long-term hold, and I'll call it. But right now, if it's not gonna dip, I'm just going to ignore it. Have a couple of Solana smaller NFTs, but I didn't really share them. And I have the Solana position, so that's good enough for me. But I think if you follow Cam and his Solana plays, also Shay recently shared something about Bodogos and so on. I think those have a pretty good potential, especially if we get some dips and you get the good entries. So you can follow these guys on the Solana side. It's not only my channel, and I think we have some great brains on the various chains trying to pick up as many narratives as it possible. A good 2-3 hours approximately. That's a lot. Or should I ask how to become good investor with this little time? Yeah, I think I covered that on one of the previous questions, that you have a lot of educational content here. And if we talk about our server, I will focus on people who either do calls on the server or people who show consistent profits. It's, I know maybe it sounds silly, but I remember when I was in the sales industry, usually people who were struggling with sales, somehow they were attracted to people who were struggling with sales. And the conversations were like, "Oh, I'm struggling with trading, with sales, that type of product," and the other person is like, "Oh, me too." And then there's a third person joining that conversation, is like, "Oh yeah, we are fucked," and essentially you're learning nothing. But it's obviously, maybe it's funny, but that's true. What's happening most of the time, you naturally go to the people who have less experience, you're more comfortable with, who are in a similar situation, and it's harder to ask questions or go to people who maybe are in a different situation than yourself and go a little bit out of your comfort zone. So if I would learn from this server, I would learn from people who have consistent profits and they do that research and show, some of them show it on profit bragging, some of them they don't. But obviously, if you, let's say, you look at some of the guys who are part of the Wells group, most of them went from the smaller portfolio to north of 5 figures, 6 figures portfolio. So you can ask some of them too. And we have a bunch of guys who have been here a year plus, who went through a very good trading year, and they are in a significant profits. You can ask them too. If you're looking outside of our server, you can go through my following list and probably get some from that. Probably following list of some of the best accounts like Wizard, Sivo, and so on, and you can follow those. I've pinned somewhere the recommended list of the people to follow, who has been extremely accurate, like Nebraskan Gunner, Alice, Big Chats. Who else is there? We have Ansem absolutely killing that, especially on the Solana side, and some new narratives and so on. So I can probably refresh that list and share some of that and pin on the crypto, so you can follow these people. But generally, most of the influencers on Twitter and YouTube, they, saying things for the sake of saying, they're not really that accurate. So you have to really curate your list and people you follow. But 2-3 hours a day, it's plenty of time to learn and get yourself better. We have a lot of content here in Encyclopedia and Atlas and so on. And we have a lot of people who went through 2-3 cycles who can help you out as well. So if people are part of our team, the Wells people often showing the profits. We have some, very important corgis who have run the projects. They have a great experience in trading too. You can ask some of the contributors. There's a lot of people you can ask questions and get yourself better. What are your thoughts on crypto taxes? What are the best ways to make living out of Web3 in your opinion? That's a good question, but it's not to me. Maybe there will be chance to connect people with some crypto lawyer. We trying to figure it out on the Wells side, but I would not pretend that I know all the crypto taxes in different countries and different entities and so on. So unfortunately, that's something what people have to do their own individual research. In every country, you can find a accountant, or you can find a lawyer who specializes in crypto, and you can explore the opportunities to set up the entity, which might help you with the taxes, or what's the best way to go through accounting and so on. But I think the best way to go through to do that in your own personal capacity, because every country is very different in that. Even if you look in Europe, every country has very different crypto taxes, and they changing consistently. Which all time do you expect on Ethereum, Bitcoin, a bull? Of course, you rough estimate, but do you think if can reach 5K, 10K or more? I think realistically we'll see the new all-time high on Bitcoin between 60 to 75,000. I think that will be minimum, and maximum about 80 to 100K on Ethereum. I think will be minimum around 3.5 to 4.5, and maximum I would say 6 to 7 in the next year and a half. At least those are my targets. I'm willing to be wrong and sell around those targets, everything what I have. But that's what I'm aiming for. But I would not speak in certainties. A lot of things can change, and I'm trying to stay as fluid as it's possible. And even if I'm wrong on the lower time frames on some things in like a week, 2-3 weeks perspective, I've been very accurate for the past year and a half, 2 years on the higher time frames on the long-term perspective. And that's the easiest way to approach it. That, if you, let's say, expect Bitcoin at some point to trade at 60K or 70K plus, does it really, matter all that much if you buy the gems or altcoins at, 35K, 38K or 42K Bitcoin? And obviously now the risk is, way higher than when we were buying that when Bitcoin was 20K or 25K or 30K, because all of these things were significantly lower and the risk appetite was significantly smaller than right now. But I think if we get any dips to low 40Ks and below that, there's opportunity for buying when there's some panicking and FUD on the market, rather than waiting for recovery to start buying. But that's my prediction. We'll see how that works. Are you open for copy trading on your transactions? No, I'm not really actively trading. That's A. I think I covered that before. And we had that conversation over and over again in 2023. And I said, instead of doing active trading daily and copy trading, the easiest way will be to do the long-term investments on the on-chain. And you can't really do much of a copy trading on-chain. I don't know, maybe there are some servers who do that, but I don't know. You can do the copy trading on the centralized exchanges like Bluffin, Bitget, and so on. So maybe we'll explore that. Or maybe I'll just get back to some of those 1K to 10K challenges and so on. But generally, the easiest way to make money is focus on those long-term things. And with the copy trading, the tricky part is people learn nothing and they just become lazy and complacent. Because let's say, imagine, just to put things in perspective, let's say in 12 months' time, there's a top of the market, January 2025, we're trading at 70, 80, or 100K Bitcoin. Everyone is euphoric. You copy traded the shit out of the some of the trades and so on, and let's say I'm taking 6 months off and there's still opportunity obviously to be in a in a market and trade and learn and so on. Let's say I disappear for a couple of years. What would you learn from that? How would you get back into market? How would you do the trading yourself if you just follow you just put money and it was working for you? So I believe the easier way to approach things is to teach people, how to fish. This popular saying that actually handing things on a silver platter. I think I'm making things as easy as it physically possible with all the re-entries, updates, and so on. But generally, I wouldn't during bull market, I wouldn't trade on the leverage all that much. Because I just believe there's way more money to be made, and so far I've been very accurate on that for the past year to just accumulate on a lower time, on the long-term perspective, all of these gems and altcoins, and just wait until they do 5-10x's. And you sleep better, you have way more free time, you don't need to monitor your positions as well all the time. Because also during the market, the 10 or 15% dips and pumps are very common. And how would you position yourself on a leverage trade if you take a 5x or 10x leverage trade and something moves 10% down, which is very common. It's not the bearish thing on leverage, but you can get wiped out on your positions very easily. Again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just the approach I have, but just don't believe that the leverage trading should be anyone's main focus and more than 5% of your portfolio during bull trend. And I think that's that money should be put in something for a long term. And so far, if you look on the people who followed that last year, it worked very well. I'll do consistent swing trades on like we did, for example, in September, October. We did a bunch of swing trades on Fed, Solana, TVK, now Vanry, ENJ, and so on. And there were great swing trades, Ethereum, and so on, that you can print 2-3 X's. Minimum, like all of those did like 70-80% from re-entries and entries. And I think that's the easiest things. And if you want to put the leverage on it, feel free. If you have a smaller size, put like a 3x or 5x leverage. Just understand that there's a higher risk, but I think that's the easiest way to trade. Yeah, but that'll be my answer. Maybe I'll consider that at some point to do on the Bluffin. They have a copy trading or Bitget, and I might do that on some smaller size on the leverage account. But generally, I'm working from the morning up to late night, and I don't know even I have time for that. So it's either that or just providing opportunities on the pre-sales, private sales, pickings with teams and calls. I just don't know if I can do one additional thing actively, which will require at least extra 2, 3, 4 hours from my daily schedule, if that makes sense. Pre-sales in the works. Yeah, there are pre-sales in the works. I think nodes are a great opportunity right now we have, but obviously please read all the information, make sure you understand how that works, and that's like a long-term play. But I think it's a very cool opportunity, and we'll have a bunch of pre-sales. One thing I wanted to cover is that I'm limiting pre-sales opportunity until the latest, probably end of February. I just don't want to do pre-sales, private sales, unless they are very short-term in a March time, unless there are some incredible opportunities, maybe early March at the latest, because most of the vestings will be very unfavorable towards the second half of 2025 or 2026, when I don't want to be part of the market. So if it's a great opportunity, I mean, don't be part of a long-term place, if that makes sense. So if there are some great opportunities which have a decent TGE and decent vesting, obviously we will share this too. But I think we should be putting ourselves in positions that the Q1 is the last quarter to position yourself for long term. Q2 should be more of a midterm, already thinking about the midterm plays and about the daily trading rather than accumulating for long term, if that makes sense. At least that's how I'm approaching things at the moment. I found myself investing more in money in gems and pre-sold than altcoins and NFTs. Sometimes I realize I don't have any more stables for the buying opportunities. Is that normal? Yeah, I don't think it's normal, but I know a lot of people did that. I saw someone's portfolio 2 weeks ago. I don't remember who was that. That showed me a $15,000 portfolio where 12,000 was TXN, and I just don't understand it. Like the whole concept of like I think TXN has a great potential, and I think that person will be still in significant profit, and we had this nice 3x move. Now it's looks pretty shitty, but I think that will recover at some point, and we'll see the nice upside again back to all-time highs or beyond the TXN. But the whole point of the pre-sales or private sales or the short to mid-term plays is to understand that they shouldn't be a 90% size of your portfolio in that one position. So I literally realized that like that person had a bigger position in I have the more in TXN anyway, but like percentage wise they had a way bigger position in TXN than everything else combined, which doesn't make any sense. So I think the main reason behind that is that because a lot of people missed out on those gems because they were boring. You didn't want to do dollar cost average, and then we saw people doing some insane amount of money on a 0KN, which we shared at 500k market cap pre-sale, and picked at 28 million. It's not 26 million right now, which is ridiculous, like 50x move, or 40x whatever. Or OCD did, if someone joined a private sale with us, did 17x at peak, and so on. And then people went with this similar kind of approach that it might be another 10-15x. It might be. I'm not saying it won't be, but I wouldn't put that much of a risk on that one position instead of building my altcoins or G1 or G2 portfolio, if that makes sense. So if I have 10,000 and I have the private sale like TXN, I wouldn't put more than $1,000 or $500 in that. That's the part of that 5-10% I'm talking about into private sales or pre-sales. And if that's a long-term play, so let's say that's, for example, what did we share recently on, let's say the notes. You put $2,000 in a notes. That should be maximum, 10 to maybe 20% of your current portfolio, with understanding that also have a huge risk but a huge reward type of play, and it could be very good return of investment. But if I have $10,000, I wouldn't buy 2 notes or 3 notes or 4 notes or going all in. The same perspective like a TXN, right? So you have to really think about the long term and risk to reward of every type of play. And I think that's mostly because people between the Q1 2023 and Q4, when we were sharing those gems, they didn't buy them, or they bought them too late, or left them when they were boring and so on. And then we were kind of FOMOing into the next possible 10x and so on, hoping that that's going to be that play. It could be. I'm not saying it won't be. What if we have a TXN at 10 million market cap in 3-4 months time? But the risk of that is also huge, that it won't be, and you end up break even or maybe even at loss. So you have to understand that especially with the on-chain trades, I'm taking into consideration with every single play that it might go to zero. but the upside and the return of investment, it's huge. And so far, we're lucky enough to not get caught in rocks. We had that dark meta token, which we still managed to sell in because they were vesting, and we got the tokens weekly. Most of the people, if they sold the first move and then the vesting, he still ended up in a small loss or break even, or even some of them in profit. So we still had the chance to kind of exit. But I think we did very well to avoiding rugs. And if you join some of the telegrams, I don't know if you're in any telegrams that are showing meme coins and so on, it's very different to what we do. I mean, the rugs are on a daily basis. And some people you will catch those crazy moves, but most of the people will get wrecked on those short-term plays and like these narratives we saw. So I'll be very careful with that. And that's the reason also I don't really play too much with meme coins. Because I think most of you guys will get wrecked if I share it and there's small market cap. We pump it up ourselves as a Discord because we have a pretty decent buying pressure right now. And then whoever is last is like a game of a hot chairs, that whoever is last, you get ending up being wrecked. And I don't want to do that. So Tinder Master, I would say just to focus on G1 and G2 on the next dips and just play a mid to long term game rather than going all in. And the private sales and pre-sales are great, and most of those coins, like we're talking about Space, Portal, those things are G1 or altcoins, however you want to treat them. So those things you can treat as your on-chain allocation into G1 or G2. That makes sense? But again, I wouldn't go all in. So if you have, let's say, 10,000 portfolio, those pre-sales should be, 10 to 15% of the portfolio, not more than that, because you want to diversify with other coins. How do you manage portfolio when you have in real life expenses and you need to take profits occasionally to spend while maintaining your investment portfolio size? I mean, I would not. Sorry? Okay. That's it. Really? Oh, fuck me. Yeah, I'm losing my voice too. Sorry for talking too much. I hope it was helpful. I mean, I wouldn't really use what I have investment size in the real expenses. I don't think it's a good idea. That like if you need something in real life, you shouldn't really have money in a crypto. Like the worst thing you can do is to put $1,000 which you need to pay your bills. That makes sense. And yeah, I would not do that. If you need something in real life, that's your priority. You're paying your bills, paying whatever you need to on a daily basis. Something what is your necessity is your priority, and it should not be used into any investments or daily trading and so on, because you end up being very emotional and very stressed, and you end up most likely being wrecked and selling some of the bottoms because you'll be stressed out. Yeah, at least that will be answer to the question. Do you have any personal assistant helping you to do research and other time-consuming things like grinding airdrops, managing Twitter? Well, I have my amazing fiance and Pranay. I have 2 assistants helping me out. So yeah, I will need 48 hours in a day to manage everything myself. So they're helping me out with threads, editing, some research, and so on. So huge credit to them. But yeah. Lastly, what's the reasonable price on imaginary ones? Well, dips under 1 ETH, I think it's for buying. If you get some bidding around, I've shared that I think yesterday, around 0.0 ETH, or around 1 ETH, if you snipe some of those, I think it's great opportunity. I think that once narrative picks up, NFTs picks up, I think we are nearing NFTs bottom in the next 4 to 6 weeks. I saw one of the guys, who was that, Stone from what's the name, Root Troop, selling his Macy. I think that's another bottom signal when the people who bought it when they were speaking, selling that right now, and that's a good buying signal. So I think in the next 4 to 6, maximum 8 weeks, we'll start seeing recoveries on NFTs, and we'll print nice bottom. Especially when we see more people FUDing, panicking, and so on. So imaginary ones should trade at least 2.5 Ethereum before the token. I think they have tons of potential. Same goes for Can't-Buy Pandas. If we get any dips on Pudgies to like 7 ETH, it's probably to buying to 7.6. A few other projects too. Okay, last few questions. Fire, Vision, people talking about narratives, Desi, Gaming, Rava, which narratives are you personally most excited about? Personally, I would say that I don't give a fuck from a personal perspective which narrative I'm playing to make money, and I'm looking for the highest upside, which I like personally, and I think it's the most undervalued at the moment, is the DeSci, because it's a new thing and Lake has the first mover advantage, and I think has a huge opportunity on that. I think it's a Rava narrative because the tokenization I think will be huge play on the long term side, and regardless how market will behave, I think that'll be one of the things that really will change a lot of things we do within real estate and purchasing goods and luxuries and so on. So I like the gaming narrative, but I think we have to be very picky. And as Enchroma even was saying recently, like most of the games are absolutely rubbish. And I like the MetaX narrative that focus on mobile and simple, fun games that you can play in between when you have some free time on the phone and so on. I don't know how it's with you guys, but I don't even have really time to play on a computer on PlayStation all that much. And I think the easiest way for a crypto to find mass adoption is the mobile games or the simple games that they can get a lot of people playing for like a 1 hour a day, half an hour a day, 2 hours a day. You don't need a constant long-term grind. I think some of them will do great. Probably Bored Apes will build a great RPG platform and so on. Hopefully they do that. But I think 90% of the games in a year time will be irrelevant. So we have to bear that in mind, that any gaming narrative and any games built right now, they're going to be very much irrelevant in a year and a half to 2 years. At least that's my perspective. When's the wedding? Well, hopefully next year. That's the plan. Can anyone let me know when Corgi answered your questions? I did answer your question. Can't find it right now. You can ping me later. I definitely was answering your question at some point. What did you do about Entango-Fi? Are we getting opportunity buying the token? Entango-Fi? I'm private investor on Entango, but there was so far no opportunities to buy the token. There was opportunity for the NFTs, but I wanted to have the more rare ones with a higher return of investment, but they were reserved for like KOLs and big investors, and I couldn't really get that. So I'm still speaking with the team. We're on Telegram with Yoris and Pranay, seeing if there's anything to grasp on that. If not, we'll try to get some entries on public if that happens. But I think it has tons of potential and it's a very good project. But so far, they didn't want to do any sort of investment lower than 10K, and they wanted only people with some sort of exposure on the market. So all of that, obviously, there was just a normal private sale buying, but they were very, very selective. So I couldn't really share that on the Discord, but there might be still opportunity. I'm still in touch with them. Sorry. Is it more possible to get opportunities where free jobs? Yeah, I mean, I said that before, that I will be trying to share if there's anything coming up. So hopefully you can share as much as possible of those over the next 12 to 18 months. When Corgi calls meetup. Yeah, I think it would be great. Maybe sometime this year, maybe summer or end of the year, maybe 2025. Especially in Europe will be easy. How possibly I'll travel to some of the countries as the holiday, and I can let you guys know that I'm, let's say, in Asia somewhere or America and so on. But yeah, in Europe it will be probably a good start to meet somewhere. I'm in Lisbon, so that's pretty good connection for anyone in Europe if they want to fly. And if it's during the week or even on the weekend, if it's not some holiday season, the flights are probably under $100. So we can probably organize something like that and do the meetup in Lisbon. So yeah, that's something to discuss. Okay, I think we I think we're done. That's 2 hours 20 minutes. I'm losing my voice.
That that was an amazing start to the weekend, learning so much. Now I feel like I can turn my brain off for the rest of the weekend. I got exactly. He can go take Luna for a nice walk now or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us and for Corgal and Chroma and all the good questions. There were so many good questions this time. I think that we're going to give away some corgi dinners to some of the folks that ask questions, and I'm sure Chroma will figure that out. But everyone have a great weekend, and we'll do it again sometime soon. Ooh, that's exciting. All right. Have a good one.
Take care, guys.
Bye. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye. Bye.